To deploy the parachute, actually you just reach up to this red handle and pull straight down.
I'm here at the Cirrus aircraft stand with the lovely Ivy.
Hello.
And she's going to show me all around this fantastic Cirrus SR22T GTS.
Well, I am thrilled to show you around, Rachel. We're going to start with the, I think, thing that Cirrus is most known for, which is the plane with the parachute. So
this is what I'm most excited about.
every single Cirrus that comes out of our facility in Duluth, Minnesota, be it a piston or a jet, was designed around the idea of the airplane having a parachute. So all of the parts for the SR series airplanes are made in Grand Forks, North Dakota. All the composite work is done there. And when they actually lay all the composite in, they start building the parachute into the plane. So the parachute straps are actually built right into the fuselage string, into the fuselage skin, and they come right down underneath the door and attach on either side of the engine. This is where the baggage compartment is, and when the fuselage parts come to Duluth, they come in two halves and then get bonded together. At the very top, when they get bonded together, there's a window and also a second hole back here. That's actually for where the parachute comes out.
It's amazing. You'd never know it was there.
You never know. It's very hidden. So the baggage compartment is here. Right behind the baggage compartment, there's a bucket, and that's where the actual parachute lives, the parachute bundle. And inside the bucket at the top, there's a rocket. So when you pull the handle on the inside of the cabin to deploy the parachute, the rocket fires and blows this like cosmetic cover off and pulls out the parachute and all of the lines. And once that parachute and all the lines kind of gets straightened out, these straps are pulled out of the very edge of the skin of the fuselage, and the parachute deploys. The airplane basically is flat underneath three attachment points, two in the front, one in the back.
And what else is there to point out on the outside of the aircraft before we get in the cockpit?
This airplane is certified for flight into known icing conditions. So you'll see these titanium panels here.
Oh, yeah.
You've got panels on the horizontal stabilizer, the vertical stabilizer, and the leading edge of the wing. And there's tiny little laser drilled holes in the very front of all of these panels. They're very, very tiny. Basically, when you turn the switch on, the fluid weeps out the front and coats the entire control surface. So it will shed ice and also prevent ice from building up. So you can really fly in a lot of different kinds of weather.
Weather's not really going to be an issue for you, is it?
No,
one way or another?
Yeah, most weather. It's not an all-weather airplane. It's a most weather airplane. Okay, so welcome.
Thank you. I've never been in a Cirrus before, so this is a really novel experience for me.
Well, I'm excited to show you everything. So I'm going to basically sort of start kind of down here at the beginning, and we'll work our way up, and then I'll kind of move into the avionics. So basically what we're sitting in is an SR22T, which is the turbocharged version of the SR series. It goes up to 25,000 feet. It goes at about 200 knots or so. Has a range of about 900 nautical miles. And we can fit five people in here, generally. Generally 4 plus 1, I guess. And obviously we've got a nice technologically advanced glass cockpit, digital backup gauge here, a pretty streamlined interface for the pilot to interact with the avionics. So starting kind of from down here, you've got a console where you would plug in your headsets, and this shows you how many hours are on the thing. The fuel tank, you can either pull from the left tank or the right tank, and this is where you select your fuel tank. This is your single lever power control. So you've got a constant speed prop, but no prop control, because that's all interlinked into a mechanism in this power lever. So the power lever actually controls the power and the prop. And then you've got your mixture here. Fuel pump. You're gonna use the fuel pump on taxi, takeoff, landing, and when you're switching fuel tanks. The SR22T comes with a built-in oxygen system. So the manifold for the oxygen is up here. This is where you'd plug in your tubes and then a fighter pilot mask. And you just switch the oxygen on from here. And then this is your flaps for your F and heading. Your audio panels here. you've got a couple of dual channel audio panels. So you've got COM 1 and COM 2 where you can talk on one COM and listen on the other. This is also where you control what all the occupants in the airplane hear. So you can make the audio panel or set up the audio panel such that you hear ATC and no one else can hear ATC.
Hide the isolate button.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or everyone can listen to whatever music. You've got Bluetooth to the avionics, but the pilot doesn't have to listen to that, so they can focus on flying. Or, you know, if you've got passengers in the back who want to listen to something else, you can kind of divide the music.
So you can plug your phone in and listen to music.
Yep. You can just Bluetooth your phone. No wires necessary.
Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
It's nice. This is the autopilot. So this is how you set up basically your autopilot, which is a 3-axis digital autopilot. It can fly, basically climb and capture an altitude, fly a flight plan, fly an approach down to about 200 feet.
Does all the hard work.
So it really does. Yeah, it makes it easy. And then this is sort of your interface to all of the avionics. So everything that you would want to do with your avionics in terms of setup, you can do here. Moving up to the actual screens, you've got your primary flight display here on the left and your multi-functional display on the right. So your primary flight display, that's going to show you all of the critical information that you need to fly. So your airspeed, your attitude, your altitude, your vertical speed, what direction you're going, and then the pilot can configure this PFD to show a lot of information or be decluttered and show just the required information. So I can show a map, traffic inset here. I can show my nearest airport page. I can put a map inside that HSI. I can put traffic inside that HSI. I can turn everything off. So I can really kind of configure this and tailor it to how I like to receive information. Some people like to see a lot of stuff, and some people just like it with. Yeah, so really simple to kind of configure.
I really love how this instrument panel is angled so that you can see this. This is so pointing towards you.
It's sort of like very pilot-centric.
Yeah.
I really want to make sure the pilot feels like they can see everything, like it's built for them, and they have great spatial awareness and situational awareness of what's going on. Moving over to the MFD, you've got, this is your engine information, and that is up all the time. So your critical engine information, things like your RPM, your manifold pressure, how much fuel you've got, what your oil temperature and pressure is, all of your exhaust gas temperatures and things like that, up there all the time. If you want to look at this panel in more detail, I just press the engine page, and that gives me a much bigger view of everything that's going on. Now this page, this is really sort of where all of your fun, useful information is. This is, again, all controlled down here, and I'm by our controller. And this big knob, I can scroll through and look at the different chapters and different pages, right? So here's my map page. I can range out. I can range right in. There's the airport. I can range in even further, and basically things are labeled. I can see the taxiways. I can see the runway. When I actually load a flight plan, I can see what direction I should be going on the runway. Again, it's all about making sure the pilot has the most information so they don't get in trouble.
So is it kind of talking to a weather station? So would it tell you which runway you need to take off, for example?
It doesn't tell you which runway, but it tells you information about the weather, so you can decide. Yep, exactly.
I see.
So as the pilot, you have to decide.
Yeah.
Well, at a towered field, they're going to tell you which runway they're using, but
It even says airship hangar there.
yes, correct. We are just behind the airship hangar.
That's a lot of detail, isn't it?
Yeah, and then as you scroll out, you can kind of see the detail fades away and kind of shows you a little bit more. This is my AVS camera, so that's fun. This is an infrared camera. It sits right below the left wing.
Right.
And I can turn that on in flight. It sees, basically, instead of people's legs that you you can actually see cloud formation. So if you're flying at night, you can avoid the clouds.
So that's incredible.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then I can actually kind of split screen that, so I can overlay it with the map.
Wow. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And then all of my, this is where I would get information of all my databases, making sure that my aeronautical information and database information is up to date, not expired. And then all of our checklists are in here. I know that's something that we haven't quite talked about. So I just hit the checklist button. All my checklists are digital. So should we be ready? We've started the engine. We're ready for takeoff. We're going to go to the before takeoff checklist.
Oh, so can you actually tick them off as you go along?
Yep, exactly. We've got our cruise checklist in here, basically all of your checklists. And then all of your performance data is in here as well. So if you wanted to double check landing distance, all of your charts are in there as well. And then all of your emergency things, right? So you've got your emergency checklist, your abnormal checklist, so that's all in there. Pretty quick.
Amazing. So on the subject of emergencies,
Yes.
so let's say we're in an emergency.
Yep.
And we've decided we're going to need to deploy our parachute.
Yep.
How do we do that?
So this is the parachute deployment checklist. So it's very easy. It's always basically here.
Right.
So before I go for a flight, I actually take this pin out. It's secured for trade show purposes.
Yeah.
But before every flight, I would take this safety pin out. Once I take that safety pin out, the parachute's actually armed. To deploy the parachute, actually you just reach up to this red handle and pull straight down. It's about 35 or 40 pounds of pressure. So you just do a little pull up on that handle. And you'll hear a huge bang. The rocket will punch out the cover in the capsule that's kind of behind the baggage compartment. It pulls out all of the parachute and the lines, and it takes 6 or 7 seconds for it to be fully deployed under canopy.
Wow. And are we, as pilots or passengers, in the brace position? Or do you just sit comfortably?
Really, you just like snug up your seatbelt and get ready to go. The seat cushions are actually like if you kind of wiggle around a little bit, it sounds like you're on like a little bit of tinfoil kind of.
Yeah.
That's actually a 4-inch crush core. It's like a honeycomb aluminum core in the seat, and that's meant to take actually 26 G's of force.
Wow.
So that's there to protect your back, protect your neck. So really, it's just kind of sit back, relax, and enjoy your flight.
Yeah. Gosh, well, that's much better than trying to find a field and do an approach into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So really, what you'd want to do is get the plane slowed down. And what I basically tell people is red. So you want to take the mixture and the power, pull these levers all the way back.
Yeah.
Reach up, pull the handle, shut off the fuel.
Yeah. Wow, it's impressive stuff.
We've spent a lot of time not only figuring out how to make the plane, faster, higher, carry more, do all those sort of things, like look it on a spreadsheet, but also focus inward on cabin kind of convenience and comfort, things like that. So you'll see wood shifting your phone to the audio panel and listening to tunes and cup holders and nice soft leather and like big windows and things like that. The other thing is making the cabin occupants comfortable temperatures, right? So if it's super hot, it's miserable to be in an airplane.
Yeah.
It actually is very fatiguing to be in that type of environment. So like you might not be on your game from a safety perspective. So there's air conditioning, there's 3 levels of fan.
Oh, wow, that was effective.
Oh yeah, there's 3 different levels of fan. You can get airflow on the ground. And then it's a very easy controller. So even the passenger, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out.
And of course, another big difference, which I'm not used to, is having a side stick.
Mm-hmm.
Does that take some getting used to?
It takes about 600 feet. Generally, yes. It's quite funny because that's something that a lot of people point out. Again, part of the reason why the side stick was designed into the airplane was to give a little bit more comfort, a little bit more kind of real estate for the occupants here. And also, in the event that there is some sort of incident or accident and you end up sort of running into something, this is going to come alongside of you, not into you. So not to be
That makes
just kind of from the safety perspective, like take as much away from anything that can hit you.
Yeah.
In the critical zone. But if you think about flying with a traditional yoke, typically you'd have one hand on the throttle anyway.
Yeah.
So you're really only going to have one hand on the yoke anyway. Most of the time you're not driving a train like a car, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Your one hand is doing something else, whether that's interacting with the avionics or controlling the power or whatever your other hand's doing. You're usually only flying with one hand. And if you have your hand on the armrest and just kind of naturally your hand lays right where the yoke is.
It's amazing. And I see you've got down, up, left, right on here.
Mm-hmm. So we've got elevator and aileron trim to kind of dial in the plane exactly how you like it for trim. You've got your push to talk button. You've got your autopilot disconnect button. And then the indication of the chin is right here. Let's leave.
And it's just every detail, this lovely soft suede.
We try to make sure that all of the areas that the pilot touches are nice to touch, and all of the areas that the pilot sees are nice to see. So like this area, super, super critical. We pay a ton of attention to it's very big details and small details. So, seams, feel of the panels, stitching in the panel, that sort of thing. And then if you notice, like the handles that you have are also they're Alcantara. The yoke is Alcantara. This is a nice soft leather on the throttle. So it's a bit of a mixture of you want these areas to be resistant to wear, but also feel nice to touch.
Oh, and it certainly does. I mean, it's like a kind of top of the range new car, isn't it? It's just so comfortable. You can just relax, and it basically flies itself.
There's tons of automation in here, and that's really built in from a reduction of pilot workload standpoint and a safety standpoint. Because if your workload is reduced during the cruise part of the flight, you're putting forth less effort to make that cruise part of the flight happen.
Yeah.
So you have more mental acuity and awareness, and you're less fatigued when you get to the critical phase of flight, which is your approach.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, anything that can lighten your workload and give you more mental capacity to deal with whether it's the routine stuff or an emergency. I mean, the more you can do that, the better.
Yes, absolutely. And it's just a nice place to be.
Yeah.
The view is gorgeous from here when you're up there.
We're going to have to fly together.
I would love that so much.
I would love to see you put it through its paces.
Oh, it's so fun. Like, it's so fun to fly. And this is such a lovely area to fly over as well.
Yeah. Where have you thrown it in from?
I don't actually know where this one flew in because I didn't fly it in, but I've been fortunate to fly kind of all over England and Scotland. And then I've done some flying over in Hungary, Italy, around France a little bit. So, yeah.
Fantastic. I mean, what a treat to be able to fly around in one of these.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I have the best job in the world.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction to this incredible machine.
Of course, we've only scratched the surface, so let's go flying sometimes.
Definitely. We'll do a part 2 at some point.
Yes, that'd be perfect. Part 2 from the air.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Ashley.
Yeah, you're welcome.